Hello everyone, KosakChess here, and welcome everyone to the recap of the second round of Menorca Chess Open. Today I faced the player with the international title, the FIDE Master Laurent Julien. If we talk with French accent, I believe we can read it like this. I wasn't really preparing to this game because I didn't have much time. The game started at the 3rd April at 10 a.m. So I just decided, like like Vasily Invanchuk in one interview, he said, I play e4 and we will see what will happen. He played c6, so I played d4, d5, and the variation I usually like to play in the Caro-Kann, the e5, the advanced variation. He plays bishop f5, so normal stuff. And I played, after 5 minutes of thinking, I played c4. I was also considering playing knight f3, and h4, knight a3, a short variation, e6 bishop e2, h4 vital variation. But I opted for a c4. This is the variation I won against Badur Jababa on World Rapid Championship. E6, knight c3, so normal development, knight e7, h3. This is a really important move because when I play knight f3, then bishop g4 and knight a5 might be annoying and I have some pressure on the center. So h3 move. This is what Carlsen played against Ferrugia on World Rapid 2021, I believe. Knight d7, black normally develops pieces, knight f3, d takes c4, bishop c4, and knight d5. So this is all the normal stuff. Badr Jabava played h6 there, but after h6 now I can play b3, really tricky move, because now after d takes c4, b takes c4, I am controlling the d5 square, so he can't occupy the center, and this knight would be a little bit passive. So he took on c4, he develops my bishop, but on the other hand, he gets the d5 square, so it's pretty normal. Castle, bishop e7, queen e2, short castle, and knight d4. This is in general how you need to play this position, by facing by putting the knight on the e4 square and controlling maybe the d6 square. If you manage to somehow get rid of this defender, my knight on d6 would be extremely well placed. He played rook c8. So on the other hand, he wants to prepare the c5 move. And yeah, I was really, searching for some plan. I was really looking for some ideas, but I couldn't really, invent anything special. I was thinking that I can play bishop g5 at some moment. And after bishop g5, knight g5, I achieved my goal, because knight d6 knight d6 might happen in the future. But he plays h6, knight f3. He can even just take this knight on e4. I chop the bishop, and we have the normal position. He has a really good knight on d5. He can prepare c5 in the future, strike in the center. I have these pawns already pushed far away. I can't really move them, and so if he manages to break them, it should be really good for black. So I just didn't want to, you know, how to say it. I just didn't want to put off the pressure, and I just wanted to keep it and just played rook d1, waiting for his move. He played queen b6, so his intention is to probably play rook fd8, and I was really struggling with time because I couldn't really find an idea which fits me the most. Uh, if I play bishop g5 again, I think the same variation happens: knight f3, bishop e4, queen e4, and rook d8. If I want to threat a main, he plays knight f8. This knight is extremely strong. He makes a pressure on b2, c5 in the future. I didn't like the position. I was even considering knight g3, bishop g6, h4, but then I asked myself, okay, if you start to calculate such variations, there is something wrong. There is something wrong with it, because he can play normal moves. I play some strange moves. I have still undeveloped pieces. So I just, after 20 minutes of thinking, it was definitely too much. I just understood that I have to develop the piece, but in a pretty normal way, just to keep as many pieces as it is possible. I played bishop d2. Uh, I was expecting mainly rook f d8 to develop his last piece, and also to put it in a really correct place. The rook attacks the pawn on d4, so I believe it looks pretty normal. But he went for c5, so he changes a little bit the direction of the game. And now the position becomes a little bit sharper, and I see that the knight isn't that stable on d5, and I made a use of it. I believe rook f8 was pretty normal. I would probably have to defend that pawn by playing bishop b3, then a rook c1. Pretty normal position. We have many pieces, so everything can happen. But if you keep many pieces against the lower rated opponent, there is a chance that you might create something. Um, he just went to c5. Probably it isn't that bad because I took the knight on d5, e5, and knight c3. I attacked the pawn, and I was hoping that I would go for a position with an isolated pawn, which would be really, really good for white. We will see in the next few moves why. He went bishop e6, defending the pawn. Of course, if he takes on d4, I take knight d5. He has to defend the bishop, knight e7, queen e7, knight d4, and I am pawn up and also attacking the bishop. So I am on the verge of winning the position. If he takes on b2, I was even calculating rook b1 idea, because after knight d5, rook e8, I wasn't really sure what to think about this position. This queen on b2 stands weirdly, but he controls the b1 square, so I can't develop my rook. Rook a b1 was, in my opinion, interesting. Rook a b1, rook b1, queen c2, and rook b7. I am attacking these two pieces. After cd4, knight d4, I also attack the queen. If he protects the knight, I can maybe play even e6, attacking the knight, attacking the pawn, f e6, queen e6, and black loses material. I don't know if it works or not, but this is what I would calculate for sure. After queen a3, I think the same thing happens. These two pieces are hanging, rook d8, e6. Maybe this is even a good thing to consider. But he played bishop e6. I took the pawn on c5. He recaptured with the knight, and this is probably the crucial mistake, in my opinion. The first one and probably the most crucial one. The most critical thing probably to play it was queen takes b2, where I wasn't really sure to which rook to put on b1, the a1 or a d1 rook. If I play rook a1, I was calculating queen a3, rook b7, bishop c5, and rook b3, queen a5, knight d5, queen a2, and black is okay. And because of the fact that this pawn is hanging on the end of the variation, maybe rook db1 is actually not that bad, and after not queen c2 but queen a3, rook b7, bishop c5, rook b3, queen a5, knight d5. Now the difference is that this pawn is protected, but still maybe after queen a4 the position is okay. So I wasn't really sure which rook to put on b1. Maybe knight b5 is interesting. Now rook a b1 or rook db1 is okay, and after bishop c5, well. No, I don't know, to be honest. Like, I didn't like this position because after dc5, then I saw, okay, he can take on b2, and I didn't know what to do. So probably he should go for it. But instead, he took the pawn on c5, and I believe that after bishop e3, I attack the pawn, rook f8, rook ac1. I ended my development, and I have beautiful strategical position where all my pieces are developed. I am putting a pressure on the isolated pawn. My bishop is pinning the knight, and okay, he has bishop pair, but the position is in my favor, definitely, because of the fact that I am making the pressure and he is defending. He went for queen a6. He just wanted to exchange queens in order to get a favorable endgame, but then I found the tactics. I just exchanged queens, ba6, and using the fact that I have so much pressure along the c and d files, I just played b4 move. He moves the knight on e4, and knight takes d5. A simple tactics, but it works because of the fact that after bishop d5, it was in the game. After rook c1, I can intermezzo knight e7, king f8, rook c1, king e7, bishop a7, 2 pawns up, completely winning endgame. So here I captured with the bishop, rook c8, and rook d5. And now I am, my endgame is really healthy pawn up, damaged pawn structure. It should be really easy to convert. If he takes the pawn on b4, I can capture on a7, but rook d4, in my opinion, is even stronger. Double attack, he loses the material in the next move. So that's why he played knight c3, attack my rook and my pawn. So that's why I defended both of these kings, also attacking these two guys. He played rook c6, defending the pawn, but then I played knight d4, rook g6, and b5, making additional pressure on these pawns, and also to activate a little bit my rook, because as you can see that if I play carelessly bishop b4, my rook is trapped there. So you need to watch out for this. And after b5, bishop b4, rook a6, my rook is not trapped, and I am winning because of the fact that this pawn is falling, and if the pawn falls, my pawn promotes. So after b5, he just went for a last trick, bishop c5. He could take the pawn on b5, but I believe this endgame with the rook a8 and bishop c5 in the air should be just winning for me. Even though if I don't manage to win a piece, I just can win a pawn in that way. So this endgame is obviously winning. And after bishop c5, the last try, if I take the pawn, he just gets the free piece. So that's why I just calculated everything, played knight f5. He could have prolonged the game a little bit because he just resigned there. Of course, these pawns are falling, the queen side is crashing, but maybe he could prolong this game a little bit because I was calculating bishop f8 move. And of course, he can't take on e3 because of knight d7, knight g6 with the check. If he plays bishop f8, maybe I was thinking about playing b6 move, a b6 rook a6, and again the same idea, putting my rook on the last file, pinning the bishop, and somehow knight d7, and maybe if I manage to regroup this bishop like this way, I think I can get this bishop and get a winning position. So probably b6 is correct. Because this endgame, I wasn't that sure about this endgame because knight b4 and he gets this pawn. I am pawn up, but it's not obvious if I can convert it. But luckily, it didn't really matter at all because he just resigned in this game. So yeah, I believe this game was pretty clean. I didn't have much problems. I'm really happy of this decision that I just, instead of playing something stupid and creative, I just played something normal. And it shows again that normal moves are uh, are usually the most correct ones. So I am happy that I didn't pretend that I am Magnus Carlsen or another genius. I just played normal, simple chess, developing pieces, creating the isolated pawn, putting pressure on this isolated pawn, developing every piece into the game. So I was happy that I managed to play this queen, this pretty clean game. 2 out of 2. In the last round, probably I would play something, I guess, against somebody stronger by rating. So I can't wait for this clash. Thank you very much for joining me. And yes, see you in the next game. Bye bye.